Welcome to the Deep Dive podcast, where in this season we dive into Stephen Bartlett's 33 Laws of Business and Life with me, Pamela Walsh, and the amazing...
Oh, I'll take that, Pam. Thank you very much. Sian Horn. Welcome to this week's episode of Deep Dive. Pam, how are you?
I'm good. I'm ending the year on a little bit of a high at the moment.
Well,
yeah, it's good.
I'm delighted. I suppose there's been a couple of weeks, isn't there? Because we pre-recorded a few and then we made the choice to go weekly and stick with the weeks so that we can be really relevant. So the last time we spoke was actually just
November.
Before the awards.
Yeah.
So now we know who won the awards. It was such a great night. Absolutely loved it. It feels like an eternity ago because it probably is. It's 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago. But look, it's the last week before Christmas. Are you ready and prepared?
Kind of. But like one thing I think I've really realized this year is I don't plan December as a 2-week month. I think nobody does. We all forget that it's really only 2 weeks, and then everybody needs to start checking out. I'm finishing up now on Thursday, so I'll be hopefully winding down, but I'm like, I know I haven't given myself enough time for things, and next year I really need to remember this and plan accordingly, because it's like my brain refuses to remember that I will be missing for the last 2 weeks of the month.
What does your winding down look like to you? Like, I have to leave my office this week. There can be no mess. There can be no floating invoices around. There can be nothing. Otherwise, I know I'm going to come to it. So what does it look like to you closing down for the little holiday that we get?
So all of I've close off meetings this week now, like today, tomorrow. My invoices for December will go out on the day I finish up, because if I can get paid before Christmas, ideally. Otherwise, I come back in January and they're done already. Everything gets shut down and out of office goes on. And I just won't allow myself. I'll turn everything off. See, I work from home, so everything is here. It's very hard because I know I'll probably dip in and out of my laptop, but my emails will not be opened until I'm back on the 8th of January. I will not be looking at emails until then. And I really have to be very strict with that myself, because I know I'll start tipping away at things.
Did you say the 8th of January? That's nice.
No, sorry, not the 8th. That's when the schools are back.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm coming back on the 4th. No, I'd love if it was the 8th. Sorry.
Okay, so I have to ask you then, because I think this is something that people always ask me. I know you like my out of office. So out of offices, do we make them personal? Do we make them very official? How does it work in your more financial and more sort of admin role?
I'm still just corporate running through my blood, because mine is like, oh, I'm Pamela, I'm out of the office, we'll respond to your email whenever. I am very corporate. I laugh at yours every time, because it's like, I know what you're thinking. She's gone again. I'm like, is this Shan? I read yours because I'm like, where is she this time? Whereas with normal ones, you just kind of go, oh, they're gone. I zoom through down look for the date, and I'm like, right, that's when they'll be back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think it's a real personal preference, isn't it, out of office? I do like to make mine personal. I like, obviously most of my life is out there on social anyway. So, and I always put it on at the bottom of my out of office, actually. If you're really missing me, you can follow me on social. However, do not DM me, because I'm out of office.
And to be honest, I would, because I don't really work. No, I say I don't work on Fridays. I'm like you. I'm like, I don't schedule anything for a Friday. I set an out of office on a Thursday night, and if I'm under pressure or if something's gone on in the week, I'll do a bit of work Friday morning. But in the new year, I'm going to get really strict with myself and not send emails on a Friday, because I do that. And people will get into a conversation with somebody, and my out of office is on, and I'm blurring boundaries there massively, because it's like, she said she's not here, but she's still responding. And then that expectation gets set.
Yeah. Would you not schedule them instead? Like, schedule your Gmail?
I should do, because I'm using Outlook, and you can schedule. Yeah, I will be better off doing that. I just like that. I just like to get it out. And I have like a little tag on the bottom of my emails because I could be emailing at 11 o'clock at night, just depending. I work whatever's working with my own schedule. And it's like, I'm sending this email at a time that works for me,
Yeah.
because I work flexible hours, I don't expect a response until a time that works for you. But,
If you get an email at 11 o'clock at night, how annoying is it not to reply though?
I don't have my notifications on anymore, so I will
Yeah.
only see that if I physically go into my emails to check, and then
So
that's a
if
me
you've got a
problem. Like,
text message at 11 o'clock at night from a client, how annoying is it to try not to reply?
oh, I will think about it all night long. I'm actually better
Absolutely.
off getting it off my head and replying because then I can
Yeah.
relax.
And I completely agree. And actually, this is why I think scheduling emails is just so brilliant,
Yeah,
because I know from the flip side, even though if someone's working flexible hours, if I see something, and I might be just doing college work on my laptop at 11 o'clock at night, but I'll see the flipping email come in, and like yourself, I have to get rid of it.
yeah,
Otherwise, it sits in my brain. So I think scheduling, try it for January and let me know how you
yeah.
get on.
I might do, yeah, because I know a friend of mine, she schedules everything like that. And it is,
Yeah,
I'll snooze them all right because I'm desperate for like something will come in. I look at it and then I'll mark it as unread until
yes,
I'm going to action it. So now if I open it on my phone, I know you can do it on Gmail as well as you can snooze it so it disappears and it comes back to you at a set time.
yeah.
Um
Gmail's very good at that. Actually, it's like, "Hello, Sean, you didn't reply to that." So anyway, listen, let's dive in, because this is one. I say this every time. I love this law. It's my favorite law. But law 4, you do not get to choose what you believe. Do you want to tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about it, Pam?
So I will give you the summary from the book. So this is a little bit of a paragraph now, so bear with me. It says, beliefs are stubborn but malleable. To change a belief, a person must find a way to attain convincing new evidence that they can trust. They are more likely to believe the validity of this new evidence if its source agrees with their other existing beliefs. Evidence that offers positive outcomes is the easiest evidence for someone to believe. If you interrogate the validity and detail of one of your own limiting beliefs, your conviction in it will weaken. If you want to change someone's belief, don't attack it. Make them a direct witness to positive new evidence that will both inspire them and counteract the negative effect of their old beliefs. Unchallenged limiting beliefs are the greatest barrier between who we are and who we could be. So stop telling yourself you're not qualified, good enough, or worthy. Growth happens when you start doing the things you're not qualified to do.
So this is why I love this rule, because it's like the biggest thing that I talk about all the time. And just using his example, so he uses an example of if a member of your family was being held by a terrorist,
Yeah.
and the only way that you could stop the terrorist from killing your family was to believe the terrorist wants you to believe that he's Jesus. You couldn't believe he's Jesus. However, you could lie and say that's as much as you can do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, for me, this is like loads to do with imposter syndrome and your fears and stepping into your fears. I am a networker. I still to this day don't enjoy walking into that room of 100 people that I don't know. However, I have done it so many times, the fear has diminished from doing. So I really like this law. I mean, he gives some great examples. I mean, I was laughing. I was reading my notes that I put in the book because I audioed this, obviously. But as I was audioing it, I was reading, I had the book in front of me. And it said, like, from a recent survey, 300,000 Americans said they still believed in Santa. And I've put, why doesn't that surprise me?
And is this there's a percentage, was it 21% or believe in they're like flat earthers?
Yeah, flat earthers. And exactly that. Like, you can tell a flat earther this is the way that the world
Yeah.
looks. But actually, unless you take them up in a spaceship to show them that the world is round, they will never believe you, because their belief system it's set in.
Hmm.
And I get it. And actually, there was a lovely quote for some of us, our most important beliefs we have no evidence whatsoever. And I made a note about my sisters because there is big gaps. I'm number 2 of 5. That was my name. My dad could never remember our names, so we're 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But there's a huge gap between me and my younger sisters, so we kind of lived like two families almost. But when one of my younger sisters moved in with me in her 20s, we had the same morals, the same beliefs, the same understanding. We're such different people, it's unbelievable. But our beliefs came from our parents, without a doubt. And it was so bizarre to be so different to somebody, but have the same moral standing. And doesn't that just prove that good parenting is good parenting? But yeah, and it's a belief system.
Yeah, no, it is. And because I've like been doing a lot of stuff around that as well myself. And it's very hard to break a belief system. And I think we don't even understand what our own core beliefs are that drive us every day. And sometimes they're not great. They're not good beliefs, like I'm not enough. I have to be a good girl. I have to obey the rules, and getting like that creates an anxiety and like people pleasing and all of that kind of stuff. But I do think like with like regards to limiting beliefs, and I know that's like, especially like coaching and when you're mentoring somebody, that's where we zone in on, because that's what you're looking at, and it generally is a person's limiting beliefs that hold them back. But I think you have to have your resources and your needs filled before you can start breaking those limiting beliefs, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, you have to have your shelter, your food, your security, all of that in place where you can start then tackling all your belief systems. Because I think it's very hard to do one when you're struggling to just fill your needs, like your buckets of needs, they all need to be filled before you start really cracking into those belief systems, because you need a solid standing for that, I think.
What is, like I always talk about beliefs that block us. What would be the one belief that you have about yourself that would just block you, hold you? Like I know what mine is, and it makes me stick in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to pull the glue off my shoes.
Oh, I know what mine is. And like, geez, we're doing therapy here now, Shan. And it bleeds into everything. And it is that, like, I'm not enough, I am not good enough. That's in everything. Like, no matter what room I'm in, if I'm in the best in the room, maybe not the best in the room. Like, if I've done my absolute best, I always feel like I could have done better in everything. So I'm always striving to do the best, but I push myself too hard to overcome that, we all, and I think most of us have that belief.
I completely agree. I mean, that would be in one of my, in my little bag of beliefs. It would definitely be one of them. I have another one as well that I can't, if I'm 100% my authentic self, I'm never professional enough for people.
Yeah.
And that stopped me for probably a decade of my life, to be honest, because I was sitting around tables with a lot of men in my 30s that would, use expressions, or she, oh God, she must have a period, or here she goes again, or, and all. I just ended up shutting up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it took me a long time. I probably still not over it. Do you know what I mean? I probably, because I like to bring joy to everything and I see opportunity in everything and I get excited by it. So sometimes I just can't shut my mouth. Sometimes though, and we were just talking about like even simple things like emails.
Mm-hmm.
For years I did the corporate email and then I was like, I would never say that. But I'm in my 50s saying this. Do you know what I mean? It's taken me to my 50s to write an email that I want to write. So yeah, I think it's really, really difficult. I mean, look, I've got my last day of college tomorrow night. I went back. I've been working in digital marketing since 2008. Before even before there was business pages on Facebook, I was using it. but I've gone back to do my digital marketing certificate MTU because I felt pressure to do it.
Yeah. I get that as well every so often. Like I've like qualified accountant, qualified project management. I have like a green belt in Six Sigma, and I'm still like, maybe I need something else. But it is that's the like the imposter syndrome, and I'm riddled with imposter syndrome, and I always am, and I don't think you're ever going to not have it. What I'm starting to firmly believe is if you don't have imposter syndrome, you're sitting in the wrong rooms, you're not growing, like you need to go and sit in a room where then you've imposter syndrome and you're like, am I good enough to be here? And then when you feel like you're good enough to be in that room, then you need to move to another room, and like if that's what you want to be pushing yourself, you're always going to have it. And I think it's a good thing to doubt yourself because you're not getting too complacent, but it's the voice in your head that speaks to you when you are doubting yourself, because I know my own inner voice can be like, you're shit, and so you kind of need to just make that voice a bit kinder, but grow and stretch yourself, because that's where the gold happens, when you feel that uncomfortableness.
I like imposter syndrome too. I just think that we've made it this big like enemy, almost like the like the elephant in the room. Don't talk about it. Oh my God, what are we going to do about it? For me, it's just like 100% absolutely normal.
Hmm.
The key is to learn to catch it and realize that it is imposter syndrome, that
Yeah.
it's not a true belief, you know. And a lot of our beliefs come from when we were kids, like, I have that strange brain. But listen, my teachers told me all the time, they didn't call me thick, but their actions made me feel that way.
Hmm.
And that will stay with you. Like I'm always saying to people, like, oh, how old? And I'm like, and somebody said to me something about the kid or something the other day. The little girl is 4, and I said, oh, shush, don't say that in front of her. Um, like, not preaching to a parent here, but she was looking after a kid. Actually, I went, shush, like keep the your volume down. And she went, oh, she wouldn't remember that, but you bloody do.
Oh, they do. My 4-year-old pulls stuff out every so often, and I'm like, oh, she was listening. She knows what I was talking
Well,
about.
it's fact. It's
Mm.
fact that the things you say to an under 6-year-old, it makes them for the rest of their life. That age of 6 is super important. I mean, I look at my niece. My niece is 9. Like, and I started B-Bell because of Annabelle, because I wanted people to have that confidence that she had, that 4-year-old body just giving it sulks. Um, and I see her now at 9, and I'm like, is that deflating? I would need to watch that. Do you know what I mean? And actually, my sister said to me that she was out the other day, and their grandfather on her husband's side gave all the girls and all the kids £10 each. They live in Wales, and when they were leaving, the 9-year-old said to my sister, why is that lady sat in the street? And Emma said, oh, unfortunately, she doesn't have anywhere to live. And she said, can I have that money, mummy? And so she took the £10. She went over and she gave it to the young girl on the street. And when she came back, she said, well, I didn't need it. She needs it. So it would make sense to give it to her. But mum, I don't understand why someone isn't looking after her. And I don't, and my sister's like, I know. It's like so shit, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I think, this is a time, God, with everything that's going on in the world, it is shit.
it is. Yeah, it's awful. Like the stuff that's going on, and like it's just horrendous. Like
Like,
my daughter, and I've learned, because one of my shitty core beliefs is like I have to be good, like the good girl, obey the rules, and going back to that, like I should be this, I should be that. So then you have this like and Stephen Bartlett goes into a cognitive dissonance of like,
yes.
I'm not doing, or I don't feel how I think I should feel in this situation, and you're constantly fighting against those shoulds. But like what my daughter, what I've started doing, because I see everybody says, oh, are you a good girl now, are you a good girl for your mommy? And I know it's all well intended, but I don't use the phrase good girl with her, because especially for women, because it's like, what is a good girl? She behaves, she obeys the rules, she sits, she's not, she's
Yeah,
very well behaved as she goes along, she pleases everybody. So with Shay, I say you need to be kind, you know, ask for what you want. But whatever you're doing, be kind to other people, because at the end of the day, if you're not pleasing everybody and you're not going along with the rules, once you're kind in what you're doing, then that's all that matters. And we were out a couple of weeks ago, and there was this little old lady, same thing now, came up to her and she was like, "Are you a good girl for your mommy?" And say 4 years old says, "No, but I'm kind." And
yeah,
my little heart burst for her, because I just think that's what I want her to teach her. I don't want her to be the good girl,
yeah.
because it doesn't get you very far either. You need to challenge things.
And actually, I think that, Annabelle probably said the same thing to me around the same age, because I said to her, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful." And she said, "I don't want to be beautiful. I want to be kind."
Yeah, it's so
And
important.
it's such a good message. But being kind, not just to other people, this rule is about being kind to yourself as well. And I
Yes.
think that's what's really important. And it is, we will only improve if we step into that fear. And the only way that the fear diminishes is like what I was saying, just keep doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And question what your thoughts are. Because, like, I do that a lot. It's like, in business, so many times I've been in a room with people that will just argue opinions. And my
Yeah.
question is always, is this an opinion or a fact? And they'll try to say it's a fact. And I'm like, okay, where is the evidence? Where is the evidence that if we do this, this will happen? And it's always like, look for the evidence for everything, because when you start listing out your evidence for your belief, and like, oh, this person will think this, where's the evidence? What have they done to show you that this would happen? And collect your evidence there, because it does diminish the belief. It weakens your thought process. And one thing I've learned is, just because you think something doesn't make it true. Your own head is a bit messy as well. Like,
And also, sometimes if the evidence is there, just give it a go. I think that another sort of belief is, what if it goes wrong? What if I have to, like in business, what if I have to close my business down? Let's be honest, no one's really watching. No one really gives a shit. You think people are watching. You think people give a shit. They don't. Everybody's too busy with themselves.
mhm,
So sometimes it is like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, it doesn't work out. What's the best thing that can happen? It does work out. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so sometimes the fear of failure can really hold us back as well. And I just don't want that to be for people.
No, and it is the fear of, I think there's two things in fear of failure. I think number one is, if you fail in a dark room on your own and nobody knows about it, the impact of that isn't as big. It's
Yeah.
when people can see your failure, it's the shame around people knowing you failed. So why do you give a shit what anybody thinks, firstly? And then secondly, it's just the fear of no. And I think, especially in selling, because I see it so much now in small businesses, they're afraid to sell. It's just because it's an ask, it's asking somebody for something. And I think, because I don't know where, I cannot remember now. It's in the back recesses of my brain. I am not taking credit for this, because it's not something I've come up with. I heard it years ago and I can't remember where I heard it. But it's to go and collect your nose. And I know Jen Bryan touched on that, they used track their nose, didn't they? For
Absolutely.
when they were doing
So
leads.
basically, just track the nose rather than the S's. It's like the flip of that is like track your outgoings at, against your ingoings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
So
percentages. But I think another step on that is, go get no's to harden up to them, because it's like, the more you get it, the less impact it will have on you. So what I would love for people to do, and I actually wrote down a couple of things this week, is, if once a week, go and get a no. Go actively seeking a no. Ask for a discount when you buy a coffee. Ask for an upgrade. You know, ask for something that isn't on a menu, that they're probably going to say no to it, but just get yourself accustomed to hearing a no and asking for something small. Like, ask for a free sample. Like, you can ask for an extension on a deadline, just to ask for something, expecting a no. And like, just to harden yourself up to it. I asked for something a couple of months ago. So I was negotiating something with somebody and I didn't want to do what they were asking. So I asked for something ridiculous in return and they said yes. So sometimes when you ask for things, it will surprise you. You will still get it. But I think you have to get into the habit of asking for something, getting no's, and it just getting hardened to that no and moving on and asking again, because at some point down the line, no's will turn into yeses.
I think the importance of no's as well, though, is not just acclimatizing yourself to them. It's as well that every no opens you up to a yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the more no's you get, the more yeses you will get. And it balances out. Like I deal in no's. You know, a lot of my work is trying to get sponsorship and money from companies. I deal in no's. So then my challenge becomes how to turn, you know, one of those into a yes. But the no's come first.
Mm-hmm.
And every no I have got, I have learned so much more than the yeses. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they teach you because when you get a no, you have to ask why so you can solve that problem. So the next no will be a yes, and the next no won't be a no because of that reason, because you'll fixed it.
Yeah. I mean, I get frustrated. I'm like a dog with a bone, actually, when I get a no. I'm like, can you give me some feedback on that no? I
Yeah.
want to improve myself. And look, 50% of people won't give you that feedback. They just don't. They've given
Mm-hmm.
the no, they don't give a toss, and that's the end of it. But the ones that do give the feedback only improve you. It's always really good to ask, even if, you know, again, even if they don't come back, because that's another no. But you don't learn from yeses. Yeses are
No.
easy.
Yeah.
You know, they don't improve my business. The no's improve me and make me a better person, 100%. So that's a nice little challenge for people. Go out and get a no.
Go and
So,
get a no. Yeah.
okay, I hope people do it. It's a good week to do it though, because like if it's Christmas, people are really kind at Christmas.
I
Well,
know. I was thinking, 'cause I was trying to think of like what would people say no to, and oftentimes I think what like if you put somebody under pressure, sometimes we're such people pleasers, we say yes. But
yeah,
if it's like in a retail environment, ask for like free sample, ask for a discount. You know, are there any discounts on the go for Christmas? Have you got a free sample?
try
Like
and
if you're
organize a Zoom meeting for the 26th. There'll be a no for you.
if you're checking into a hotel over Christmas, ask for an upgrade. They'll say no. Well, or you'll get an upgrade, you know.
Yeah,
But generally, like you're no worse off than you were already when you get a
amazing.
no. Generally, you know, obviously there's certain times where the no needs to be a yes. But I do think it's because it's try, fail, learn. Try
Yeah,
and that repeated cycle. Just keep going through that.
100%. So, what would your advice be for people on this rule then, that people want to step into the fear? What What do you do when you know that you're going to be in a situation like that?
When I know, so I was in a situation like that yesterday. I had to make a difficult phone call. That I knew I was struggling with, and I have a couple of people that I go to. I make my decision myself, and then I go to my people to prove my decision. But I have filtered my people very carefully to make sure they're not yes people, and have a look at who your people are, and if they agree with everything you say, they're not the people that you kind of, you know, go through these situations with. You need people who will challenge you. So I bring.
Pamela, you're so cryptic. I had this thing, so I was thinking about a thing. I went to this person, but
I
not that
can't.
person.
I know. I can't
It's
go
so
through details still.
cryptic.
Okay,
That's right.
so I just grab it by the balls though, because for me, if I'm uncomfortable and nervous about something, the longer I sit in that uncomfortableness, the worse it is. So I just go through it. The only way through things like that is just facing them head on and going through it. And honest to God, the more you put yourself into those situations, the more comfortable you feel. Like I went axe
Yeah.
throwing last weekend, and I'm so shitty and nervous. Like when I was throwing the axe when I went in first, I was like, oh, it's going to hit me, it's going to hurt me, it's going to bounce back. And by the end of it, I was standing there walloping him into the wall, you know, because
Yeah.
I just got used to it. And you have to just sit in that uncomfortableness.
Yeah. I went axe throwing in Barcelona. I remember the first time I threw the axe, I ran the other way because I was so convinced it was going to come back and get me in the head or something. But
But
for me,
what's
it's
your tip for it? So
action,
yeah.
100% action. You know, we've all been in situations. I do it to myself every week. I'm in an awkward or an uncomfortable situation. The action is just to do it. What is the worst that can happen? I can leave. I can walk out. I can say I'm going to the toilet and never return. It is absolutely fine. I make the decision when I'm in it. I don't preempt what's going to happen. That's not the word.
Preempt.
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 Thank you. Preempt what's going to happen. I just do it. I take the action. And if I'm really can't cope, and there has been times when I have gone to the toilet and left, and that's fine too. I gave it a shot.
And
so action for me, take the action. The more you do something, the better you will be, the less uncomfortable it will become. And just remember that no one really gives a shit.
no, we're all just concerned with ourselves at the end of the day. But what I do preempt what will happen, but I do it in a way of I go, what is the worst possible thing that will happen in this situation? And I go through that process. I go, right, if
Well,
that
the worst thing,
happened,
but what
what
I'm
will I
saying
do?
to you, I'm going to ask you not to do that. I'm going to ask you not to look at every scenario and work, you know, try not to do that, because literally there's two scenarios. It's rubbish and you leave. It's great and you stay. Simple. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but I
And
do.
you don't need to go and look why it would be great. It's either just good or bad.
Yeah.
And most things in life are that. They're either really just good or bad.
They are. But I always feel like if I know what the worst possible situation is and I see what I would do in that, and that I'd be okay then anyway, then I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll still be okay.
But
I'll have learned something.
the fact is, though, most of the time we're in situations with that is with other people. And the thing is, we can only control us.
Yeah.
So we actually can never really know what the worst case scenario is or the best case scenario. We just know we're either going to leave or we're going to stay. So really simplify it.
Yeah.
And if staying creates something magical, fantastic. But don't, like I always say, sometimes people will go to a networking session, they'll be like, oh, Sean, is so and so here? And I'm like, oh, they are actually. Do you want me to introduce you? They're, yes, because I really want to do this. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to introduce them, because
No.
they've already decided what they want from this meet. And it's not down to them.
No.
And actually, when you meet somebody, listen to what their needs and wants are first. So I just don't like that contrived situation. I would be a nervous wreck if I really studied what was going to be the worst and the best case scenario. I would be quite nervous going in.
With a first meet like that, you shouldn't have any expectations on anything. That's further down the road always. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not how networking is taught. Networking is taught, and I go to a lot of teachers, and networking is taught, work out who's in the room, see what you can get from them, blah 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 blah. I mean, that's what, it's so far away from my belief system, it's unbelievable. But I suppose we're going off course a little bit.
That's not like us.
I know, Jesus Christ. But look, at the end of the day, you're saying, go to the right people, work it out. I'm saying take the action. Just, so this week, take an action. The action is to try and get some no's. Pamela is saying, go out there, get some no's. And it'd be really interesting, actually, when this pod goes out over the holiday season. So you'll have plenty of time to listen, guys. It'd be lovely to get your feedback.
Yeah, I do definitely love a bit of feedback. I've gotten some feedback already from people and I love it. Like, it's all welcome. Anything constructive criticism, we're happy to take, because we want to know, because we want to improve the whole time as well.
Absolutely. And so next week, rules 5 and potentially 6. Let's see how we get on this week. But I really enjoyed that rule, and I'm going to make loads of actions over Christmas, mostly around a Bailey's bottle, and I will see you next week.
Happy Christmas.
Take care, guys.
Bye. The music used for the opening and closing of this podcast is titled Pleasant Porridge by Kevin MacLeod. IncompeteTech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0. www.creativecommons.org/licenses/by/4.0.